Hey, what is up everybody? It's Boonitz and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to try something a little bit different. I am going to attempt to put together a quote-unquote guide on how to play Heroes of the Storm. I don't really want to market this as a guide, but instead what it's going to be is it's going to be the most basic of tips in order for you to stay alive and play the game and hopefully have fun. I think I'm going to separate this into like a little mini series of maybe 3 or 4 parts. First I'm going to play through as an assassin and then give you some tips along the way for that. Then I'm going to play a warrior and then I'm going to play through as a support. Okay guys, this is the part where I give you some disclaimers. For the purposes of this guide, I am going to be playing versus AI, just so that it will give me enough time to explain some things to you and that the game doesn't move too fast. Just keep that in mind, because when you play with real people, it's definitely not the same. I'm going to try and give you tips that will overlap whether or not you're playing against AI or real people. Alright guys, as I said, this is going to be a very basic guide. I am not even going to go over talents with you. There are a lot of guides that can tell you the best build for each hero. I'm assuming you've already played a couple heroes and know which ones you like already, so go ahead and just pick the one that's best for you. Okay, so what's the first thing that we do, you guys? We pick which lane we want to be in. Looks like Arthas and Malfurion want to come with us, which is good because then we've got a tank and we've got a healer on our side. These guys might have some difficulty by themselves, but we'll see. And this is what you do in the beginning. You just poke at each other. Stay behind everybody. Malfurion should also be staying behind Arthas. Wait till the minions come out so you have more bodies around you. If the enemy team has like an ability where it hits the closest enemy, maybe it might hit a minion instead of you. So it's always good practice before doing anything to wait for your minions. So we don't have minions right now. Let's wait for them to come back out. Or stay behind your team and just poke at them. You're probably not going to get kills right away. One way you're probably going to get a kill in these early stages is if they overextend. So let's go ahead, get the first objective. Pay attention to where you stand. Red circles on the ground usually mean move. A lot of objectives force team fights, like this one, in the middle of the Immortals fighting. There's a little intermission where you can get some damage in. It's also important to pay attention to what your team wants to do, because with this one you could either fight the enemy Immortal or you could defend yours. So see what your team wants to do. Always be mindful of where your team is. So for example, everyone's moving to the top. You don't want to be unless you're a specialist, you don't want to be all by yourself. You want to help out your team wherever they are. And this goes for all classes, not just assassins. Be where your team needs you to be. Because it could be very frustrating to your team where they have a team fight and a lot of the enemy team is low, and if only they just had that little bit more damage, aka you, to pick them off. So always be mindful. So Arthas, yeah, that's why you should. So let that be a teaching point. Let's say there is a team fight, okay, and a lot of your team members have died. Retreat. Just retreat. If you're half health, retreat. So the objective is about to start once again. Depending on what your team wants to do, Looks like they want to try and beat on them a little bit more. But we should go get the immortal. We should go do the objective. Objectives really aren't things that you can ignore in this game. I know in other MOBAs there aren't objectives, but they really are important in HOTS. I once had someone on my own team tell me to stop attacking the immortal because I apparently don't do damage to it. Which, I mean, source? Like, pretty sure that Chromie does do damage. Unless they're talking about the Q ability, which only does damage to heroes. But we ended up losing the immortals because of that person, because they were doing their own thing and believed that since they don't do much damage or whatever to immortals, I don't know what they were talking about, but we ended up losing. So they're starting to get low. I would say they should be retreating, which they are, and that's good. AI is funny. It's like they get hurt and then they're like, then they retreat and then like, let's go back. Looks like your team wants to keep pushing. So let's go ahead, stay back, and beat on them. Maybe we'll move our slowing sands to be like right here. So the reason why the tower was picking on Li Ming was because there was no other hero in front of her to take that damage, and there weren't any minions in front of her to take that damage. So say you were Li Ming in that situation, always be aware if you don't have any heroes around you, see if there are minions around you, and if there aren't, start retreating, because that tower will pick on you because there's no one else to pick on. So we can go ahead, beat on the core. I don't think we're gonna get too far. But again, the core is picking on Li Ming because there are no... And she died. There were no minions around to take that damage for her. So the core picked on her, and then Genji picked her off. Oh, and the immortals are fighting, so let's go ahead and do that. Sometimes it's easy to forget about the objective if you're caught up in a team fight or a good push. And this is not good positioning for Chromie, by the way. She should be... Her back shouldn't be towards the enemy team's base. Team fights. Get yourself behind your team. Alright. So it looks like we want to push top with our immortal, who just landed. I don't know what Malfurion is doing by himself over here, but if you're a support, you have to at least be supporting one hero. Always be staying by your team, behind the immortal, behind minions if you're squishy. And that is game. Okay, everybody, that is the end of this quote-unquote guide for assassins. I hope it helped you a little bit. Yeah, basically the most important part of Heroes of the Storm is, I don't know, not dying. First of all, to help your team out, and also to not feed the other team experience. And being an assassin, you are very squishy, especially if you're playing with real people. They will focus you or a support first. So it's very important to stay behind either another hero or your minions. Make sure your positioning is good where they can't come up behind you and just pick you off. You know what I mean? So those are just, some tips from one noob to another noob. So, okay, I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, give the video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe if you are new. I would love to have you back, and that is it. Thank you so much for watching. GG guys, and I'll see you next time.